What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping back in with more Destiny 2 news. It's Thursday, so we get Bungie's Twit update, and as always on the road to the final shape, we get a bunch of previews. That does include more exotic weapons, so we got Kvostov yesterday, and today Bungie show off a new heavy trace rifle, so we'll touch on that, but additionally we'll round up all of the other updates alongside Bungie's blog post. And so as always, I hope you find the video helpful, and if you want to see more Destiny content, definitely get subscribed so I can keep you posted, but now, let's get into it. And Bungie today have continued to reveal new exotic weaponry for the final shape. Yesterday we got a preview of the returning Kvostov exotic auto rifle, where every 7th bullet will ricochet, so it's certainly been mixed up from back in D1. Forward to today though, and Bungie give us a preview of the Microcosm, which is a new heavy trace rifle, so you can see the gameplay of it in the background right here. Definitely a really cool weapon. Bungie described this as being sort of themed by the Traveler's Beam of Light that we saw in the Lightfall cutscene. I'm curious as well to see what actual element this weapon will be, but as the trailer suggests, it deals massive bonus damage to shields, and obviously these aren't full exotic descriptions, so really they're just sort of taglines. We'll have to see exactly what else the weapon can do. Some folks have spoken about these being a little bit lackluster. I think it's kind of hard to say until we get the chance to actually use them. In the case of this weapon, I guess it will depend what massive bonus damage actually means, right? But certainly a cool looking weapon, and we'll finally get to try it out in just a couple of weeks' time. So give us any thoughts you have about that one down below. Next up though, in the Twid, Bungie go ahead once again and highlight all of these pieces of gear that are coming into the game, so if you want to check out the trailers for the various exotics that have been revealed, the 2 exotic weapons and the 3 exotic armor pieces, then those clips are in the Twid, which I'll link in the description box. Next up though, Bungie do talk about weapon enhancement in the final shape, and they say during the Lightfall year, players have gotten a taste of weapon enhancement with Raid Adept weapons from Root of Nightmares and Crota's End, but in the final shape, you'll see that the system has undergone some upgrades, making enhancing weapons easier and allowing us to comfortably expand the system to include more weapons. So here's a quick recap on how weapon enhancement will work alongside some of the changes. And initially, weapon enhancement allows the weapon to be upgraded to receive enhanced traits, a weapon level, and a memento socket. And to upgrade a weapon, players can navigate to the inspection screen and insert the enhancement tier mod for a standard currency, which includes Raid Adept weapons, continuing to use Spoil of Conquest. We can see right here on Luna's Howl, tier 1 enhancement, and of course weapon enhancement overall is being added to all of the Brave weapons from Into the Light, so that's going to be a positive. And Bungie go on to say in terms of the various enhancement tiers, for tier 1, it replaces your masterwork and provides the weapon with an enhanced intrinsic that matches the stat of your old masterwork. It will also provide a weapon level and a date when you first enhance the weapon, as well as a memento socket. And then for Raid Adepts only, they say since these weapons have been a base crafted version, we want the Adept versions to feel like a meaningful upgrade. So these weapons can visit the Relic on Mars to adjust their first 2 columns, typically barrels and magazines, in a similar fashion to how crafted weapons can augment these per columns. So that gives a little bit more control over certain elements of those Raid Adepts. So that sounds cool, but then for enhancement tier 2, weapon level 11 will be required, but once the player inserts the mod, the left column's traits will automatically be upgraded to their enhanced perks. And if you have multiple perks, this will update all traits in the column, and players will need to visit the Relic on Mars to update these traits anymore. So in the case of things like the shiny weapons from Into the Light, if you do upgrade those, all of the perks that are on them will actually get the enhancement, which is cool. Then finally, for enhancement tier 3, which requires weapon level 17, they say once the player applies the mod, the right column's weapon trait perks will automatically be updated to be enhanced, much like the left column, and this will upgrade all traits present and doesn't require visiting the relic. We can see a tier 3 Luna's Howl right here with enhanced traits in both of the columns, so pretty cool stuff right there. And we can see as well the date that was created right there is inside of a playtest for the final shape, because it says it's in June. Random fact I suppose, but Bungie go on to say we've heard feedback that weapons should have more avenues to acquire enhanced traits, and in the final shape, all new weapons will either be craftable or have access to weapon enhancement. In addition, weapons that remain active drops in the following activities will be eligible for enhancement, and that includes Vow of Disciples Raid Adepts, Guardian Games, Kingsfall Raid Adepts, Gambit, competitive Crucible weapons, including all of them, then Trials of Osiris, Crucible in general, Iron Banner, Vanguard Ops, Nightfalls, and Prophecy Dungeon weapons. So a whole bunch are being added, and if you've already got essentially god rolls that you really enjoy using, the benefit is that they'll just get better with the final shape. Plus, as Bungie have said, all of the new stuff dropping will be able to be enhanced or crafted moving forward. So that kind of supports non-crafted weapons being as potentially good as crafted ones. But in reference to the activities Bungie mentioned there, they say this will include older instances of these weapons as long as they have an origin trait, but unfortunately due to some technical constraints, there are a handful of weapon instances from before Season 17 that have origin traits and are active drops, but they will not be eligible for weapon enhancement, and if a weapon is not actively dropping in these activities and playlists, or it's under the legacy focusing options, it will not be enhanceable when Final Shape releases. However, if weapons are reissued and become part of a playlist's active drops once again, we'll update older versions so that they do have origin traits to enter weapon enhancement. So overall right there, definitely a positive element of weapon upgrades, but Bungie also talk about mementos, and they say in the Final Shape, given that they've received a lot of feedback on weapon mementos, especially as new mementos have released in seasonal events, they have a few changes coming that impact how you store them and apply them to weapons. So for crafted and enhanced weapons, they'll no longer need to visit the Relic on Mars to apply mementos, and players can simply apply the memento of their choosing directly in the weapon inspection screen. They also say though that memento stack cap limits will be raised from 1 to 3, and mementos will no longer be stored alongside the player's consumables, and when Final Shape drops, your mementos under consumables will show as faded. Then once faded memento is dismantled, you'll see +1 memento added in the weapon inspection screen as a virtual currency. Then for players who figured out how to get around the original memento stack size limits, this will allow you to dismantle all those mementos safely, even if you temporarily go over the intended stack limit of 3. And if you're holding 3 or more of a particular memento, it will not drop again until you spend your mementos to be under the stack size limit of 3. So it seems a little bit complicated there, but importantly, some quality of life updates to mementos in general, and hopefully we'll get some juicy ones in the Final Shape, so give us your thoughts on that. And also give us your general opinions on weapon enhancement as Bungie have outlined it right there. Next though, they say they've reduced the fragment costs at Ikora in the Final Shape, and subclass fragments purchasable from Ikora are expensive, especially considering how many there are, and for new light players. So in the Final Shape, they've reduced the costs of the fragments from 25,000 glimmer to 10,000, and the goal here is to make these vital build crafting elements more accessible for new and returning players. And I think that seems fair enough given how Bungie are sort of distributing some of the content to new light players in general at the moment. Another important section of the TWAP though, and they say the Destiny content vault is being updated with the start of Year 7. So on June 4th, certain items will be deprecated from player inventories that correspond with vaulted activities and seasonal campaigns, so they'll be moved into the Destiny content vault. And they've got a list of items right here in the help article. So all bounties, missions, quests, engrams, seasonal heirlooms, and artifacts from Defiance, Deep, Season of the Witch, and Wish, as well as Into the Light, and then all ritual and pinnacle weapons and ornaments from tower vendors, and the gear will become available at the Monument to Lost Lights. Also, legendary shards are of course going away, and then Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit bounties are being replaced with the new Ritual Pathfinder reward system. So there are those, but additionally, it'll include mementos, and these will become one-time consumables, as Bungie have just discussed, and dismantling these before Final Shape launches will not add them to the crafted weapon inventories, so be sure to hold on to them for the moment. But otherwise, spec mods including Boss, Taken, Miner, Major, and Adept Big One spec are going away, as are Defiant keys, Deep Dive keys, Salvage keys, and Fishing Tackle, as well as Witch keys, Powerful offerings, robust offerings, feeble offerings, lair keys, wish tokens, trophies of bravery, and resonant and harmonic alloys. Most of those are probably pretty expected considering it's largely seasonal content, but just keep it in mind, and the help article is also linked in the TWID, which is in the description box below. Otherwise in the TWAB, Bungie say we'll be back next week with another TWID, as well as more details to share on the Final Shape, and as Bungie outlined just yesterday, players should be on the lookout for another sandbox-focused article coming on May 22nd, this time about abilities and exotic armor tuning, so that's something else to look forward to next week. But for today guys, that does it for the TWID. I would imagine we'll probably get a couple more of these exotic weapon previews in the next few days, so I'll try and keep you posted on those. But for today, if you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, a rating really does help us out. Let us know your thoughts on everything Bungie have covered as always. Also get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with all the news and of course Final Shape content in just a couple of weeks time. Otherwise though, I appreciate you watching and I hope you guys have an awesome day.